Thank you.
All right.
This meeting is being recorded.
I had stopped it just for like the first part, so we'll just have to suck it up. It's okay.
I can make a comment. I've worked with him as well on readathon, knowing that's a big thing for our school. But just like echoing what Fran said, just knowing like the nature of what the work that we're doing and being involved to a greater mission. Like I've worked with her towards a goal, and I know that's something that's really important, being able to have those collaborative conversations and being involved. And so I can speak to Kim's on that aspect from my experience working with her as well.
Feedback. All right, well, let's do this. If there's nothing, if there anybody else that wants to share anything. Okay, we will now proceed to vote for the nomination of Kim Ball for the community member seat. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Hi.
You get the.
We need somebody to make a motion.
Yes. Well, it says all in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. And then any abstentions, please say abstain or raise your hand. So that's all I got.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it looks like you had, I saw 7 on here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess we need 2 more. Who are we missing? Is anybody in the camera not on?
My camera's not on, but I said aye.
Okay, LaJoy. Okay, so you got them, LaJoy, and we're missing one more.
So you don't vote. So Jay, I think 8 is
I
all
don't
we
vote,
have.
so it'd be 9. So I see 7 on here.
So I think it should be 8 because Kim would be our 9th.
That's it. You're right. LaJoy's the last one. Thank you. Okay. All right. Now I don't have any other verbiage on this, so I would assume that with that vote, that Kim is automatically a member of the GOTeam. I don't have any other verbiage. The next would be for high schools, and now we're jumping to approval of minutes. So, Fran, are we okay with moving on?
Yes. Do we have Kim on the call? I can add her to the.
Kim did tell me that she was going to try and be on, but I know that she was traveling.
Okay, perfect. And I see Jennifer's here now, so I'll mark her as present also. Okay. Thanks, Jay.
All right, thank you. We will review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections? And I believe it goes out from the final meeting of 22. All right, if there are no further corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
A motion to approve.
Please.
Second.
And then Forsberg. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. All right. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions, please abstain or raise your hand. Awesome. Let's keep rolling. Very procedural, this meeting. On to page number 3 of. All right, let's do some GOTeam officers. This is the fun one. We will now move to electing GOTeam officers. Before we begin the nominations, I'd like to remind the GOTeam of the following. Nominations do not have to be seconded. A member may nominate themselves. A member may nominate more than one person for any position. A member may decline a nomination during the nomination process. Members may not serve more than 2 consecutive terms in the same officer position at the same school. So that's 2 years. Nominees do not have to leave the room during the nomination period or when a vote is taken. If there is more than one nominee per elected office, each nominee will be offered an opportunity to share why they should be elected to that seat. The newly elected officers will assume their position starting at the conclusion of the meeting and serve for 1 year or until a new officer is selected. All voting members have only 1 vote per seat. All right. First, we will elect the GOTeam chair. As a reminder, the responsibilities of the chair include but are not limited to leading the GOTeam meetings, working with the principal and GOTeam to develop meeting agendas, ensuring every GOTeam member has an opportunity to be heard, monitoring compliance. Fran, do you mind just telling the team anything that they need to know about the chair I didn't list?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the primary thing is working closely with you, Jay, to set the agenda for each meeting and making sure that we publicize it with our community.
And reaching out to me first, because I don't always look at 2 weeks ahead, but we have to get that posted 10 days ahead. So the GOTeam chair knows that about 2 weeks out, we need to reach out to Jay, finalize the agenda, and then and the GOTeam chair, like Fran has done, sends it to the B-mail to be posted into the website. So those kind of 3 places. All right, I will now open the floor to receive chair nominations. Feel free to nominate. Not all at once.
I'd like to nominate Clay McDaniel.
You want to get one more nomination from anybody? All right. Would any of the nominees like to decline the nomination?
Good with it.
My man. My man.
Are
If there are
you
no further nominations, I will close the floor. We will begin the confirmation process. We have one person being considered for the chair seat. The nomination for the chair seat is Clay McDaniel. At this time, I will offer each chair nominee an opportunity to explain why they are the best candidate, but probably could skip that, Clay, because I think you're the only one that's going. Other GOTeam members may ask the nominees questions before voting. I will say, Clay, is there anything you want to share?
Well, thanks, man. It's been a joy to be part of this team and to see everybody dedicated over the past year, and excited to sort of up my game a little bit.
Awesome.
I will say Clay is the one that often gives me ideas for agenda items too.
There you go. It's a great nomination. Okay, well, please raise your hand to vote for your choice for chair for our GOTeam. There's only one person, but I guess we have to vote. There's no seconds, but please raise your hand for Clay McDaniel. All right, looks like everybody. Congratulations, Clay McDaniel. You will serve as the GOTeam chair for this school year.
Thank you.
I'll work with you very closely, Clay. Don't worry. It's not.
I know you will. I appreciate it. No, I'm excited about it.
At least you're not secretary. Which brings me to my next point. No, I'm just kidding. Now we will elect the GOTeam vice chair. As a reminder, the responsibilities of the vice chair include, but are not limited to, ensuring the GOTeam follows parliamentary procedure, working with the principal and chair to develop meeting agendas, acting as chair if the chair is not present. I will now open the floor up to receive vice chair nomination. We're looking for that second in command.
Nominate.
I'm happy to do it. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to speak.
I nominate Fran Egan.
That's good.
Thank you, Maggie. I'm happy to do it and help onboard our new chair and our new secretary and serve as their backup.
Awesome. Is there anyone else that would like to do to nominate themselves or nominate somebody for vice chair? Good. Let's keep rolling. Would any of the nominations like to decline? If there are no further nominations, I will close the floor. We'll begin the confirmation process. We have one person being considered for the vice chair seat. The nomination for vice chair is Fran Egan. At this time, I will offer the vice chair nominee an opportunity to explain why they're best candidate for the position. What you just did was fantastic. Onboarding, I love it. You've already been there, done it before. Other GOTeam members may ask the nominees a question before voting. Fran, anything else you want to say? All right.
No, thank you.
Please raise your hand to vote for your choice for vice chair of our GOTeam. Please raise your hand to vote for Fran Egan. Awesome. Congratulations, Fran Egan. You will serve as the GOTeam vice chair for this school year. Now, we will elect the GOTeam secretary. As a reminder, the responsibilities of the secretary include but are not limited to posting GOTeam documents, agendas, summaries, and minutes to the website and at the school, taking minutes at GOTeam meetings, and ensuring the GOTeam is in compliance with the Georgia open meeting laws. Typically, the biggest thing for the secretary is we give you a template, the chair follows it, and you're typing in everybody. It says everything we vote on or any minutes in there. You keep it real simple. When it's done, you send the minutes to myself and the GOTeam chair, which is Clay. I will just review the minutes one last time for a final approval, and then you'll send the minutes to Lindsay Lander, the main campus media specialist, who will post them to the website. Pretty much it, right? Fran, did I miss anything on that?
Yeah, no, there's not a ton of time outside the meeting. So it's really, you might spend a couple of minutes just getting their template set up, which is, really carries over from one meeting to the next, just updating whatever agenda items have changed. And then at the end of the meeting, sending it to Jay. It really doesn't take a ton. I would say not certainly all added up, not more than an hour outside the meetings. So it's not a huge time commitment.
Awesome. All right, I will now open the floor to receive secretary nominations.
My outreach has been unsuccessful. So anyone who would be willing to do this, we would really appreciate your time this year.
I promise it's just taking notes during the meetings. There's not a whole lot out, so you don't have to post anything. You just got to send them to me after. If we don't vote now, we'll have to vote next time. We've done that before, I think. We don't have somebody. All right. Well, Fran, do we wait? Do we give adequate wait time? That's what us teachers call it when we call on our students. If we don't have adequate wait time, we're gonna have to come back and do the we'll have to vote for it next time. And we'll have to probably, ultimately it'll have to be a draw in the hat for anybody who doesn't have a position. So
Have you reached out to Kimberly, or is that her name, Kimberly Ball?
I have not, because she just came on, and that is somebody that we could do. And actually, that's a really good point, because sometimes we could nominate her and then let her know that she was nominated. And then when we come back next time, we can vote on it. Have we done that before where people don't come to the first meeting?
Probably worth having a conversation first.
Sure. All right, well, let's table it then. Let's table it. So then what we need to do is, Fran's taking notes this time. Clay, for the next meeting, we're going to have to start out with an agenda item that has to do with naming a secretary, okay?
Okay, great.
And I'll talk to Kim on the outside, and she probably would do it. I think she's pretty agreeable. All right, let's keep rolling then. So we have a vacant secretary position. All right, now we're going to elect the GOTeam's cluster representative. Cluster representatives may also hold another position, so they can be chair, vice chair, secretary. As a reminder, the responsibilities of the cluster representative include, but are not limited to, attending the cluster advisory team meetings. There's approximately 3 of them. They are typically at 5 o'clock, I want to say, via Zoom, which is good. And reporting back to the GOTeam on the cluster advisory team meetings. Something that Maggie's done in the past. If she wants to say anything about it.
Yeah, I think there were more than 3 meetings last year. I think it was probably been once a quarter at most. And there are extra activities that you get invited to sometimes outside the regular cluster rep meetings. But I really enjoyed it. I'd love to volunteer to do it again if I'm allowed to. I don't know if I'm allowed to do it an additional year, but if it's possible, then I'd like to throw my name in.
So you can't hold a position for any more than 2 years. So I don't think that would be an issue, if I remember correctly.
So this would be her 3rd year though, right?
Is it her 3rd?
It would be, but I didn't know if that was only for officer positions or if that was also advisory representatives, since you can be an officer and advisory rep.
That's true.
Is Diana?
Carolyn Barnett is on.
Carolyn, can you help us with that?
Yes, if it's for 2 consecutive terms. So if you've held it for 2 terms, we usually like to give other people the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. It's more of a simple.
Maggie, maybe we interest you in secretary.
I got to play my strengths, and that won't be a good one for the team. So.
All right, so we're looking for a cluster representative nomination. With I will now open the floor for cluster rep nominations, and this is an additional 3 to 4 meetings a year. You are on there with the principals, and then their cluster reps from their schools in the North Atlanta cluster. So you hear from Curtis Douglas, Mayweather at Sutton, and then all of the elementary school principals are on. There's not a whole lot of stuff you have to do in the meetings. You're just kind of reporting back.
Maggie, it might be helpful if you don't mind sharing a little bit about what, I feel like you guys got a lot of good information out of those last year.
Yeah, so actually there were a lot of opportunities to provide feedback during those meetings, and we worked with Travis Norville, who, or at least we did the last 2 years, where he would, he's the chief strategy officer for Atlanta Public Schools, and it's a great time to advocate for our school at the cluster level. And I feel like last year we had a lot of victories around explaining the challenges of dual campus schools, because North Atlanta is the only place that has those, and that actually resulted in extra funding because of our work in explaining just the challenges that come with that. And then we also were able to bring forward concerns around facilities, which wasn't always, that didn't exactly result in action, but we did get a lot of questions answered. And I was kind of hoping to continue that this year. Was kind of working a little more to find out what the maintenance schedule was for our facility, so we can kind of plan and anticipate and cover the areas that won't be covered by APS. And so it's really a lot of advocating for our school at the cluster level, and sometimes working with the cluster on common concerns. We've worked at the cluster level on, concerns around declining enrollment and things like that. So it's a really neat opportunity. And if you, if somebody feels like they are comfortable asking questions, speaking up, and also being a point person for the PTA and foundation leaders at our school, because oftentimes they have questions that need to be brought up at the cluster level, then that it's a great opportunity just to kind of advocate for our school, really, and get information.
I don't nominate anyone, but I have no problem with Maggie doing this again if nobody else wants to. I think that's fine. So somebody want to nominate?
I would love for Maggie to do it again. However, if that isn't something that we can do, I will. I've worked with Travis before. I will do it, but I would really love Maggie to do it again.
And if I can't do it, you'd be a great one to do it, because I think you would do a good job of asking the questions, and you already have experience with the other cluster schools. And if you do. If it is something you do, then if you ever can't make a meeting, I'll happily fill in. I know Travis would love to see me again.
Okay, so
I wonder if we can make a motion to have and Carolyn Barnett and Maggie can support you. Maybe we can have 2 cluster reps and they can tag team it. How they see fit.
Let's nominate both of them. I heard Mindy nominated, or heard Maggie. Let's just do a vote, and then they can work together as needed on that. So we have one person, because I have to submit the names, and we'll just submit one name. So did we nominate? We nominated Mindy. We nominated Maggie. Okay. Would any of the nominees like to decline? If there are no further nominations, I'll close the floor. We will begin the confirmation process. We have 2 people being considered for the cluster rep seat. The nomination for cluster rep is Mindy Little and Maggie Blease. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay. I know with my camera on a little bit, my bandwidth is a little slower, so I'm delayed, but if there are no further nominations, I will close the floor. We'll begin the confirmation process. At this time, I will offer each cluster rep nominee an opportunity to explain why they're the best candidate for the position. Other GOTeam members may ask them questions. I think we kind of just did that when you guys talked about the benefit. But if you want to say anything else, I'll give you. All right. Please raise your hand to vote for your choice for cluster representative for our GOTeam for Maggie Blease. The other person voted for Maggie. I noticed that.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Did you get how many that was, Fran?
No.
Raise your hand for Maggie one more time.
Yeah, she doesn't have to vote.
Raise your hand one more time for Maggie so we can see who was voting for Maggie. So we had Mindy, McCarran, Elizabeth,
LaJoy.
I'm just kidding. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already, and that was yes, gotcha, Mr. Forsberg. I was just messing with you. I don't by your name. Okay, and then raise your hand if you want to vote for Mindy Little. I think you voted Jennifer. I had you for Maggie. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So there you go. Looks like it is Maggie Blease again. Congratulations, Maggie. You will serve as the GOTeam cluster rep for this year. And when you cannot go, Mindy Little is happy to step in your spot.
Great. Thank you.
We will now move to our next item of business in reviewing and updating or confirming our GOTeam's public comment protocol. Public comment opportunities are available for GOTeams to hear from interested members of the community from section 3.4 of the GOTeam handbook. Opportunities for public comment shall be provided at least 4 times. in a school year and noted on the meeting agenda. GOTeam members will not provide responses or engage in direct conversation during meetings. That's the big one. There's no back and forth, just so you know. Each GOTeam may determine a consistent method for receiving public comments and for parents and other citizens to sign up to address the team. In the past, we've sent out a Google form in the B mail. I just wanted parents to fill it out prior. But since we never have too much public comment, if people come on and want to speak, we can allow them that opportunity. At least 20 minutes of time to the public to make comments at meetings where public comment is permitted, and the public receive at least 2 business days notice of the protocol for signing up to speak. Here's an example, I have to read this, of a public comment protocol from the GOTeam handbook. For those of you wishing to provide comment, there's time allotted on the agenda from 6 to 6:20 p.m. The sign-in sheet is by the door. Each member of the public will have 2 minutes to speak, at which time we will ask you to have a seat to allow others to speak. The public comment period is designed to gain input from the public and not for immediate responses by the GOTeam to the public comment presented. At the end of the 20 minutes, we will close public comment and move on to the next agenda item. If there are questions or information that you have for the GOTeam, you may also contact one or more of the GOTeam members after this meeting. You can find GOTeam member contact information and meeting dates and agendas on the GOTeam webpage on the school's website. So please take a minute to review our public comment protocol. And we follow really the same protocol that's outlined in here. So like I said, is we will notice the meeting and then we will send out, we have a Google form that we can have families indicate they want to speak, but if nobody's on there and if they pop into the meeting, we typically allow them to speak. Are there any recommendations for changes to the public comment protocol? And I feel like we made, if there are any changes, let us know, we can discuss that. All right, so may I have a motion to adopt this public comment protocol?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, so that's Clay and Forsberg, Mr. Forsberg. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Okay, got a friend. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions, please say abstain or raise your hand. All right. Let's set the GOTeam meeting calendar. And the good part about this is Fran and I sat down and kind of said it already. Adhering to the agenda, we'll now discuss our meeting calendar for this school year. As a reminder, our GOTeam is required to have at least 6 meetings this school year. 4 of the meetings must permit time for public comment. Meetings cannot be held during the instructional day, and meeting location must be places which can accommodate the public, i.e. not like a small conference room. So may I have a suggested recommendation for meeting dates? Thank you, Fran, because we did this. I put this on here. What you guys can do now, take 30 seconds to check your calendars. It's okay if you can't make a meeting as long as we have a quorum, but if you check our work, we cross-checked this with principal meetings for me, and holiday breaks and all that type of stuff. But notice how we have 7 meetings, because when we get to January and February, I think we added in like 1 more meeting. But as always, we can add a work session in there during budget season as needed. So, any suggestions?
And I neglected to note it on here, but I think we were thinking about public comment, obviously not today, and not the tentative meeting in case it gets canceled, but every other one except the principal's budget presentation would have public comment.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
just to clarify, are they at 3:30 or are they at 4? What is the usual time?
I'm good with 3:30 if you guys are.
And will they all be virtual as well then?
I am planning to keep them all virtual. Let's keep life simple. Because if they're in person, we still have to record it and post it, stream it. So it might as well just do that virtually.
Okay. And so if there are dates we know we can't attend, you said that's fine as long as we have a quorum. Like I think like January and February, I may not be able to attend those 2.
Okay.
But all the other ones should be fine.
I think that's fine. I would just encourage the other GOTeam members to see if they're okay for that January and February date, because we don't want too many out.
Right.
But we can always create a work session too for you, which we may do. We usually do.
And I would say the budget presentation is pretty important. So I think, you know, LaJoy, as long as you were comfortable, maybe commit to watch the recording of that one so you can hear Jay's presentation.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. So our Go team should plan 3 meetings for the budget process. The first in late January, which we do have around January 19th to early February. The second in mid-February, which we do have, and the third in March to approve the budget. So if you look at January, I presented. In February, I draft a presentation to you, and in March we approve. Okay, it gives us about it's about 2.5 months to work through it.
Hey, Fran, just going forward, if somebody can't attend meetings, do they reach out to the chairman? Is that who tracks that, or is that to Principal Bland, or is that?
Yeah, so typically I would send out the agenda and I'd ask people to let me know if they're not going to be there.
Okay.
Yeah, you just send it out and just say, is everybody going to be there? Perfect.
Okay.
All right, so please enter these dates into your personal calendar. Actually, let me do a vote first. Sorry. Are we all good with that, with the calendar? Because you're going to have to enter it in a second. But what we can do is, Fran, maybe in the minutes when you email it out, we just send it out one more time, so we all have them in there. Okay, so now we need to determine which are public comment, which we said we're going to do every one of them except for which one, Fran?
Principal's budget presentation.
Okay, so we'll just have public comment in all of them. We must follow for public comment at least 4 times during the school year. Now that we have determined our calendar, may I have a motion to approve the calendar?
I motion.
Lena motioned. A second?
A second.
Second was Thomas. All in favor? Please say aye, raise your hand. All opposed? Should we get those names? Fran, you getting the names? Good. Please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please abstain or raise your hand. All right. Please enter these dates into your personal calendar so you don't forget. Next one is October 27th. We got a little bit of time. All right. I have to get these dates too, so we'll get those out. Let's review, confirm, update, and adopt GOTeam norms. Now we will determine our GOTeam meeting norms. We'll begin by reviewing the initial GOTeam meeting norms. And I like these norms, so we were thinking about keeping them. This is a meeting of the GOTeam. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. We will be fully present. We will follow the agenda as noticed to the public and stay on task. We will be respectful of each other at all times. We will be open-minded. We invite and welcome contributions of every member and listen to each other. We will respect all ideas and assume good intentions. We will approach differences of opinion with curiosity. Does anyone have any changes to these norms or wants to add one? I like them. I've always liked them. All right. May I have a motion to adopt these norms for our GOTeam?
Motion.
Clay, a second.
Second.
All right. Forsberg, all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Good. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions?
Hey, Jay,
Yes.
is there any reason that for the calendar we can't send an invitation that has the link in it instead of everybody updating their own calendars?
That's a good point. I'm going to go in and create the Zoom links for all of them. So let me do that. And then what I'll do is I'll put them on all your calendars. I'll just take care of that. Because you're going to have the link anyway. And
That'd be great.
I'll probably end up streaming to YouTube too as we start. So we don't have to post necessarily the Zoom links. Just for y'all to be on there. I just couldn't get that going for this meeting. A lot going on. But we'll start streaming them. So I'll do that for you, Clay. I got you. All right.
Appreciate it.
Great. Let's move on to discussion items. We got that meeting scheduled. Do you want to do the so one of the discussion I don't see it on there, but it is going to be a principal report.
Facilities is that what you're thinking?
Well, I have a whole slide. I got a whole slideshow I got to go through. I won't take too long, I promise. So let me do mine first, and then we'll do the facility follow up.
Okay.
Yeah, principal update would have been on there, but that was I don't know if I.
It's principals updates in the next section under informational items.
Oh. Okay, so on to the page. So let's do that then. Let's do discussion items. Fran, just so you know, I did talk to GOTeam just a minute about this. So why don't you just put this on everybody's radar? We'll talk for a short amount of time. I'll tell you what they said and then we'll move on. So if you want to go ahead and take the lead on this.
Perfect. So I think one of our main roles as being part of GOTeam is to set the strategic vision, make sure our budget priorities are aligned, but also to be the kind of the voice of our community. And several members of our community have been really engaged in looking at our facilities and digging into kind of maybe some deferred maintenance that needs to be taken care of. So I think there's an active group of some parent volunteers that have really been trying to get some momentum behind some maintenance on our main campus facility, including specifically power washing and painting. So I think that there's been a lot that's already happened in terms of identifying what needs to be done, kind of partnering with Jay and reaching out to APS facilities. And I know that they've had some folks come out and look at the building and get some pricing. And I think the latest they heard towards the end of last year was that it just wasn't prioritized for budget. So I've connected with some of the parents and community members that have been involved in this. And they've connected with some other schools to kind of get some tips on how to best navigate partnering with APS facilities and ensuring we get visibility to this issue. So it's been recommended we try to get some momentum behind the APS Let's Talk feature and have several of us submit, because APS is really using that to track data and working, the more folks that are putting in the same type of request, it really gets APS's attention. So I can send a note to our group as follow-up and suggested things that we could submit via Let's Talk. But essentially, I think what we're asking for is, what is the maintenance schedule for our building, and when is Morris Brandon scheduled to have pressure washing and painting? We don't want it to get to a situation where it causes more issues. If it's not adequately painted, there could be water leaks or mold or other things that could develop. So we want to be sure that it's on APS's radar and just get a better understanding of their process. And another tip was also engaging our board reps to come out and walk the space. So that'd be Jennifer McDonald and Cynthia Briscoe Brown, our district rep and our at-large rep, to come out and partner with us to look at the building and kind of advocate for us for this. So Jay, I don't know if you have anything else to add, or if you think that's a good update on where we are.
No, I think that was a great update. Thank you. I will add that we did submit capital improvement request forms, and I want to be very clear that APS has not completely neglected Morris Brandon. Okay, always want to say that parents are not always aware, community's not always aware of our HVAC renovation that we had this summer. A huge HVAC renovation, or that we did a whole flooring renovation my first year here and got rid of all the carpets. So there's been work done in the building. We did some mitigation in the media and so forth. This really has to do with the exterior of the building. This has to do with the neighbors, with the community, with people that live around the building finally saying, look, hey, it's like 7 different shades of yellow. And there's dirt all over the side of the building, and there's chips missing out of the side of the building. And, it's a little bit, they think it's a little bit of an eyesore. It also has to do with the drainage issues at main campus, and the fields, and muddy and water runoff and all of that. I submitted a capital improvement request last year to have the building pressure washed and painted, as well as to get a digital marquee. I was told that the digital marquee is allotted to our school, and any school that doesn't have one yet. So main campus will be getting one of those within the next year or so. But they said that they weren't able to honor or acknowledge the pressure washing and painting. They sent some bids out. The bid we got was $150,000 to do it, because I wanted to see what that bid was in case our foundation wanted to tackle it with themselves. And just like I assumed, they don't want to pay $150,000. We did have a family, that's a Brandon family, come out and assess the main campus property and quote us on soft washing the building, which means not painting it, but kind of getting it ready to be painted and making it look really, really, really nice. And really just, he's saying he's going to make it look perfect. That quote came in at around $27,000, $28,000, which is a lot better. But foundation does not want to pay for that. They want APS to take that. And also there's some liability when you have somebody else come and pressure wash. If there's leaks or there's damage or there's stuff like that. So that may not be the best way to do it. When I spoke to GOTeam office, they indicated it's not necessarily a GOTeam what could GOTeam do about it kind of thing, because it's very much like a principal and APS type of thing. However, they did say that other GOTeams have done work like this and that they can draft a letter using, with all the GOTeam names and signatures. And this is our school governance team with everything. And they drafted and we sent it to facilities asking for what the timeline is going to be to get that done and to have a response by a certain time. I'm always working on the back end. I'm always going to work with APS on this and be a collaborative partner, but I also understand our community wants some more answers. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think ideally there should be some maintenance schedule that APS has, and if we had a little more visibility to it, maybe the community could be satisfied if we know, hey, we're on the schedule within the next 24 months or something. And just to speak to the foundation piece, that I have had some conversations, and I think people feel strongly that the families and community members donate to the foundation for enrichment and not really maintenance that should be handled by APS.
Yeah, not for maintenance. They've done some capital improvement requests, obviously, like the pavilion in the fields and
yeah, improvements for sure. Yeah,
but but you're right. Yeah, they're not really in the business for facilities work.
Thank you.
Okay. So what we may want to do, Fran, with that, I don't know, that was kind of just a facility follow-up. But if we want to, she said the next time that we come, put it on, because we have a lot going on today, just put it on there and we can talk about drafting a letter and getting some verbiage around it. Okay? But I think it's good that you guys knew about that. All right, we're still on our agenda items. So we are going to move with our principal's report. We'll now move on to the information item. First is the principal's report. So that is me. So give me 1 second. I gotta pull it up. It's on my other screen. I'm gonna get my camera off for 1 second so I can get a little more bandwidth here. Sorry, take 2 seconds. All right. It's loading. Give me 1 second, guys. No, that is not it. Try it one more time. You would think I'd have this ready, but I just got to get it. Sorry, everyone. My page is it's like telling me it's unresponsive. I'm trying to figure out if you guys want to turn your screens off for a second and give me 2 minutes. We'll make it work. Let's go.
I had parents' night last night for second grade, and I saw the new video for the foundation, Jay, that where you spoke to it and you had some kid testimonials. It was really awesome.
Yeah, thanks. That was cool. I like what they did there. The kids were cute. All right, I'm pulling it up, but it's just super slow, y'all, because my Zoom is taking up so much time. If we want to, Fran, is there anything else on the agenda that we can get to while I'm trying to get this pulled up?
No, really, all the announcements really already happened since we moved our meeting. The facilities meetings have kicked off, and so really it's just your items. I don't know, is there anything you want to talk through without slides? So we've got enrollment, the APS 10-day head count was taken on August 12th, and leveling report.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so close. It's right here. It's coming.
Okay.
And
I was gonna say hiring needs. Is that something you were gonna speak to?
Yes, all of that.
Okay.
Let's do this. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, awesome.
All right. Principals report. GOTeam meeting number 1. Here is what we're going to discuss. Start with the start school update. All right. So if you remember correctly, we were projected at 794 students. Our entire budget was based off of 794 students. We now, we are sitting at, with our current enrollment, right around 841 students. That is way more than we thought we were going to get. So we are now, based off the 15-day headcount enrollment, we are 41 plus 6 is 47 students over projection. 47 does not seem like a lot, but when you look at those numbers on an average class size of 20, 22 kids, that's an extra 2 classes that we are trying to cram into what we already have. It's a 47 student difference. Now, we actually only got about 835 students at that 15-day head count. They are continuing to come in. So every day we're getting new students. We had 4 that started this week. So we actually only had 835 at our 15-day head count, and that's all we're going to get. But we are over 840 now. That's just kind of how it works. But we happy to say that at $4,578 a student, we had a net gain of well over $200,000. So $225,070 has come our way now. I do want to remind everybody, for the first time ever, this is a good thing that we're getting money coming to us, because typically at this time we are telling people that they're being abolished, they're being leveled, that we are collapsing classes, or that we are, kids are getting new homeroom teachers because they don't have enough kids, or we have to send a lot of money back to APS. So this is good. This has to do with growing pains. We lost 200 kids from my first year here when we had 1,017 students, and we had to feel that. And we had to finally level for that this past year. And you all know everything that we went through to level and to balance our budget. But with growing pains comes now students coming back. Okay, students coming back. So I do want to let you know that this $225,070 is now in our account. But how do we want to use it? Let's look at the distribution of students. You may want to know where all those students went. So hopefully you can see this screen okay, but I'm going to walk you through it. In kindergarten, we were projected at 160 students. Who would have thought we were going to have 160 kindergartners? I did not plan for that. I didn't even have a class with a para in there. But look what we came in at. Whoever projects kindergarten needs an award. They literally look at birth rates from 5 years ago and lives in our zone. So they were spot on. We have the most kindergartners of anybody in the district. And we actually had to scramble and use my own funds right off the bat to get one of our kindergarten teachers a paraprofessional, because we only had 6. But with all these kids in all these classes, I needed another pair. So we've already purchased that. So now we have 7 built out K classes, 7 pairs. We're good. By the way, kindergarten is still coming in. When you start school August 1st, you learn that people have no idea that we've been in school for 5 weeks. And we have kids that are coming after Labor Day. We have kids that it's different when you start that late. Sorry, I forgot my camera was still on. But anyways, look at first grade. Carried over, we were projected at 124. We had 4 over at 128, not too bad. Second grade, we were projected at 142. We were over by 3, not too bad. Third grade, we were projected at 132. We were over by 2, not too bad. This is where the students lie. This has never really happened. This is not what we were prepared for. We're 13 over in 4th, and you can see how many were over in 5th grade. We only wanted to have 4 classes in 5th. I had to scramble to get 5. I just added 5 at the end of last year, assuming we were going to have more. And to be completely honest with you, the classes are pretty high over there. But I want to make sure that people know that our class number of teachers is absolutely perfectly where it should be. That we have 6 teachers on 5th grade, and that's all you really need to have.
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
This is fascinating. Just given the conversations we had over last year, sort of dealing with the pandemic and everything else. Have you communicated with other schools, the Jackson and others? Are they seeing a similar bump in enrollment, or is this pretty specific to us?
So I haven't talked too much about their leveling numbers, but from my understanding, no, most schools are still seeing a drop. Most schools are having to level. However, they're not going to need to level teachers because they can offset those funds using other things. So I have not seen the numbers of other schools yet. So no, I can check and I can ask. These numbers, our allocation and all that kind of just came in. The 15-day head count was like, a Friday or two ago. So we haven't looked too much. But from
as you pointed out, I mean, we expected the snake to eat. We expected the kindergarten classes to be larger as people start at Brandon, but a lot of those kids were probably gone. So I'm just curious if that's a broader phenomenon or.
It's a good question. We typically have a lot of students that leave in 4th, and our 5th grade enrollment is a lot lower. I mean, it always is. We're projected at 109. And at the end of the year, when I saw we had a whole thing on our class list that said students that aren't returning, put them on this sheet. And when I saw that we didn't have a lot of kids that weren't returning in 5th grade, I automatically created another class with the staff member we had. And really, based on 133, if you look at, for example, the issue with it is, and I just want to say the class size, the numbers are right, but when you look at DLI in 5th grade, they're sitting at 17 and 18 students in those two classes, and we can't add new students to those classes. So if we talk about the root cause, some of the downfall of having a DLI is that, again, we have 27 kids in 4 5th grade classes, and we have 2 classes that have 17. That's the nature of the game. If you were to look at balancing it out, you could say that, hey, kindergarten, DLI's got 26 kids in 2 classes and everybody else has 22, 23. So it's kind of opposite. But that's kind of neither here nor there. I just want people to know that we actually have the right staff. It's just a matter of where we have to put those kids.
Thank you.
With that said, I'm okay with our homeroom numbers, and so are the teachers. It is a difficult conversation to have right now to say we're going to open up another class. And you, all of y'all have a new teacher starting now. And I don't think we're at that breaking point. I really don't. You can have 33 in a class, typically, and we're at about 26 to 27. It's a little bit higher, but we have para supports. We have teachers that are on board with it. We have a lot of new students in 5th grade, as always. But my requests that I'm asking for are we need another intervention teacher or EIP teacher, and we need another gifted teacher. Gifted, you may say, well, what do we need gifted for? The issue is we have dwindled our gifted teachers down from 6 to 1. And I do personally believe that Carla Kendall needs to have 2 people for all of the gifted students that we have to serve and all of the testing that we need to handle. With our win blocks and where we have our students going, the gifted group, the higher order thinking skills group, which is very heavy with gifted students, has a lot of kids that we're trying to serve at once, 23, 24 at once during those win blocks. And if we could have one more gifted teacher, we could create another group and they could have smaller classes and do probably some more things with those higher order thinking skills students. Long story short, my request to APS are an intervention teacher and a gifted teacher to help build out our support program more. But I think we're okay with our homerooms. And in a worst case scenario, we can take these teachers and move them into a homeroom next year. They can all be homeroom teachers if we keep seeing our numbers go up and up and up. So I just wanted to show this to you. We don't have to kind of go back and forth. Staffing is pretty much just on me. We have a remaining allocation of $35K, which I'm telling them to put into our textbook line items, and we can spend it how we want this year. But I will tell you, long story short, it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. All right. So let's talk about our strategic plan and just a couple of things that we talked about. I want to remind you all that this was our strategic plan that we set forth last year. We created our goals, but we had to use map data in the fall because the Georgia milestone data was not that reliable. We told not to use it because it was a pandemic year. So we did set our goals off of map data. What we can do at our next meeting, Fran or Clay, is create time for us to set new key performance measures this year. That was something we were going to do based off of the Georgia milestone assessment last year. I have all that data. I'm going to show it to you, and now we can set those new key performance measures because this was basically just to measure last year's success. So here's some fall map assessment results. And this is our school-wide data. The teachers have seen this, the community has not seen this at all, but I just want to share this to you. This first grid right here on top, that is all grades that take map growth. That's second, third, fourth, and fifth. It's always just second through fifth. And this is all students, all students. Pay careful attention to where all of our students were at the fall of last year to the fall of this year, okay? Just kind of seeing how much stronger we are in math off of one full year of instruction out of a pandemic, kind of from last year. This right here was from the fall of last year. So they're coming off the year before was a lot different, right? Something to look at. Second grid right here is our Black and African American students, grades 2 through 5. The first grid right here is the fall. So that's last year at this time. Then they tested again in the spring. This is where they were. And then they tested again in the fall this year. You can already see the proficiency, the higher proficiency for those students is there, but the beginning level learners have not moved much, really on any of them. If we look at grades 2 through 5 ELA, the only reason I say 2 through 5 is because K1 and 2 take a different test. K and 1 take a different assessment. So let's take a look at ELA. You can see where we are. We're actually dropped a little bit from ELA from the fall of last year, okay? But we have, if you add those percentages together, you're talking at about 65% proficient. I will tell you, if you filter out second grade, their proficiency jumps up closer to 70, 72%. The second grade does drag it down a little bit because it's their first year taking a reading assessment. But this is whole school. And then if you look down here, this is our Black and African American students based off of fall, spring, and fall again. So you can see our starting points. If we were to look at our strategic goals from last year, for example, we can say increase math proficiency, proficient and above from 63% to 70% on the spring 22 map assessment. Well, if we went here and we went to spring, did we increase it to 70% for all students for math? What's 46 plus 16? That's 56, 62%. We didn't quite hit that target. Okay, so that was everything was based off of the spring map assessment. And we can measure our success on that. But now what we're going to want to do is tackle our Georgia milestone data. And then we're going to want to set our targets based on milestone because CCRPI, our school rating, is back this year. Any questions around map right now? I just wanted to show that to you. Okay. We do have what's called a continual improvement plan, also called like a strategic plan. But the continuous improvement plan is what I use with my staff, my admin, and APS. And I do want you to know that we listed 3 goals. 2 of them I've outlined here. It's a numeracy and a literacy goal. And the last one is a whole child support and intervention goal, but we don't have to get into that right now. So this is what we're going to be measured on as a school by the end of FY23 school year. Black and African American students, that's the federal designation, scoring proficient or above on the EOG ELA assessment will increase by 8% from 32% to 40%. By the end of FY23 school year, Black African American students scoring proficient or above on the EOG math assessment will increase by 8% from 37 to 45%. That's based off the Georgia milestones. So let's take a look at that data. All right, this is the first peak of school-wide Georgia milestone assessment data from last year. The first table up here, the 4 bands, red means beginning, yellow means developing, green means proficient, dark green means distinguished. We get points off of each one of those that are factored into our achievement score on our CCRPI score. So the more kids you have in the dark green, the more points you get. The more kids you have proficient, the more points you get. More kids you have in yellow and red, the less amount of points you get. So we can take a look at the first one is math data for all students right here. Okay, 45 plus 27, do the math. By the way, Georgia milestones is only 3rd, 4th, and 5th, okay? So we're at like 72% math. So the next one for Black students, 31 plus 6, we're at 37% proficient. If you look at our continual improvement plan, we're looking to move them from 32% to 40%. It should say 32. I don't know why I have 37. I got to look at the numbers, but we need to increase it by 3%. That's the goal. So if it's at 37%, I was actually for reading. Here, 37% to 45%. That's where we need to be. And if you look right here, we finished the year at 37%. We want to push that to 45% proficient for math. For whole school ELA, here you go, 66%. If we look at our African-American students, 24 plus 8 is 32%. And our goal for this year is to move them from 32% to 40% proficient. Okay? That's the continuous improvement plan goal. Next time we come, we're going to set new key performance measures here using MAP or milestones. We can do either one of them. It's what we're going to measure with at the end of the year. I like MAP for this because we don't get milestones back until after our last GOTeam meeting. So then we're always talking about it in a lag when we can talk about MAP data in real time in our spring meeting this year. Any questions so far? I know it's a lot of numbers, but you guys are all smart. Yeah. Maggie?
Okay, did we see a really close correlation between our MAP data and our Georgia milestones data from the end of last year?
That's a great question. Well, let's take a look, okay? Because if we look to the biggest correlation is typically winter. We don't have winter data on here. For some reason, I didn't pull that or it wasn't a part of it, but the winter MAP data is pretty highly correlated as well as the spring. So if we were to look at all students in grades 2 through 5, now we also have second grade in there. So this is going to throw it off because I didn't filter out 3rd through 5th. So it's going to throw it off. But if I look at all students, we were at 46 plus 16 is what, 62% proficient in the spring in math. Where were we in milestones? We were much higher. We were much higher. What I've heard and what I've understood is that the MAP assessment is a lot more challenging than what they actually will see on the proficiency on the Georgia milestones. But the spring is supposed to be pretty correlated to how they're going to do. But I haven't done a linking study, but MAP does use these bands because they have correlated it to what it would be proficient-wise on the Georgia milestones. So it's supposed to be pretty consistent in the spring.
Could we get that when we're setting it, just to see it, so that we can, when we're setting our targets or goals, so that way we can just make
I'll
sure
send this
that
out to you guys too, so you can start to just kind of put your eye on it. You can have this because the next time we come, we'll elect a secretary. Don't forget we have to do that. We are going to draft a letter for GOTeam or discuss that, and then we can begin setting our targets for our strategic plan. Those are kind of the three things. And I want to spend more time on the strategic plan targets. So it's difficult to do that in a virtual setting. It's a lot easier to have you in person on that. I'm committed to doing virtual, but it would help if you guys all had the slides in front of you or in a drive so we could work through that together next time we come. Okay. So just a couple glows and grows I put on here. I really think we have a strong start to this school year with student groups on pace to outperform how they did in the Georgia milestones based on. So if you were to look, for example, at like African-American students in ELA on the Georgia milestones right here is 32% proficient. But if you actually, and that's where they were on the milestones from last year. But if you actually look at where we were in the MAP data, we're actually way beyond proficient. We're way where we were at the end of the milestone. So you can see like they're already starting out in MAP, if it's correlated, way higher than they were on the Georgia milestones. And you can kind of see that from fall to fall on a lot of these data points. Okay, at least for our subgroup students, student groups, like in math and ELA, when last year they came in at 12% distinguished, but now we're at 15, or they came in 16% and now they're at 28. And so I feel like we're coming into the good starting point. Grows is there's still a large achievement gap. There's no way around that. You can see that our white students, if I were to break it out, are closer to 80% proficient. And we still are African-American student group slide. And then we said this, and Maggie said this too, that we have to have this MAP data actually transfer over to GMAS data. So while we said that it's there's a correlation between spring and the GMAS, we want to see strong results on MAP, and then we want to see that transfer over. And we want to do that kind of that cross study. Just a couple things that I feel like we need to work on. Any questions around this? This is the principal's report that I was supposed to share out. So I just wanted to make sure you updated on budget, numbers, MAP data, strategic plan goals, and Georgia milestone data. Okay.
What other subgroups or demographics groups are we, what, like when they do their report, when we do, I can't think right now. What is it when we get our milestone scores are used as part of our rating for, what is it, Jay?
CCRPI?
CCRPI.
Thank you so much. What other subgroups are counted in our CCRPI score?
Great question. So you have to have 15 students to have a student group, subgroup. By the way, subgroup is what the state of Georgia calls it from an educational standpoint. We've been told to kind of steer away from the word subgroup, but the subgroup is basically the different types of groups you have in your building. We, for third, fourth, and fifth, you have to have 15 students constitute a subgroup. So we will have white students, we will have black students, we will have special education students, we will have Hispanic students, and we will have language learners. So those are the 5 student groups that we will have in third, fourth, and fifth, because we have at least 15 of those students. We don't have Asian, we don't have Island Pacific, we don't have Native American. There's a lot of them, federal designations, right? So those are the keys. Those are the key ones that we'll look at on CCRPI this year. As a reminder, we didn't have CCRPI last year, so this is going to be the first year. Based off of this Georgia milestone to last Georgia milestone, all that growth data will transfer over and give our school finally a college and career readiness performance index.
Thank you.
Yep. And we actually did that work today because we were calculating Hispanic students in third, fourth, and fifth. And I know that we have 25. So, all right, well, let's do this. Let's go back to our agenda and let me reshare my screen. A lot of me talking, I get that, but I appreciate y'all bearing with us. These meetings won't typically be this long. So we talked about the enrollment, budget, hiring, and updates on the continuous improvement plan. Announcements, since I'll say that since I'm still the chair. Facilities master plan and kickoff meeting we already had that actually. So we just finished it, but we were supposed to have our meeting a week ago, so we wanted to talk about that. But I think Fran did a good job of updating everybody about going to that meeting. Or at least the unused ones. I think we talked about the safety one on that one. So these are for unused properties. The APS is trying to unload. There's a lot of those. And then they have some meetings around the overcrowded clusters. I do want to throw this plug in there that we are very lucky to be a part of the North Atlanta cluster right now with very little movement in our facilities master plan. If you remember, the 5-year plan did not have Morris Brandon or North Atlanta High School rezoning, redistricting, new schools, any of that. I know APS very well. I've worked in the Midtown cluster, and it is always challenging to open up a new elementary school. And for those that don't know, they are rezoning some students from Springdale Park and Morningside and creating Inman Elementary School. And those GOTeam meetings have hundreds and hundreds of people on them, and every one of them wants to speak. So when you think kind of about where we lie, while they're going to be in great shape with the new elementary school, and it's definitely something that's needed, I will say that it is also beneficial to not have that much movement in our cluster right now, to be able to kind of know what our goals are and we work towards them without having to worry about other things too. So that's all I have.
Maybe to add, sorry, an announcement that I should have included.
Anybody have any announcements? That was my next thing. Go ahead.
Thank you. Just to be sure everybody in this group is aware that Sutton Middle School has a new principal. So it's really cool because it's an assistant principal who was elevated. I think he's the youngest principal in APS. Jay, correct me if I'm wrong. And
whoever took my title.
I was going to say, I mean,
fixing to say, he's nipping at your heels.
Exactly. And he's a Morehouse grad. And really cool to have him there and join Jay and the North Atlanta principal community. And I know he's doing a lot of outreach to meet parents and meet community members. So encourage you to keep your eye out. I think the email has been publicizing some of his different community meetings, but I know several of our GOTeam members have students at Sutton and beyond, and some hopefully will have kids one day there. So it really, I think it's exciting news for our cluster to have such an engaged principal that's already kind of part of our district get elevated to that role.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any announcements they want to say? All right. The GOTeam office would like to remind all GOTeam members that they must complete their orientation training in order for our school's GOTeam to be in compliance. Please contact them if you have any questions. I think all of y'all did that with the exception of maybe one person because I saw our list.
And is that just to be clear, that we have to do all that again, or 'Cause
No, not,
last year. Okay.
the
Ethics is an
GOTeam,
annual.
that they
the
must
ethics-
complete their orientation training in order for, yeah, so it's annual.
Okay. Your chairman might be a little lax on the
I think your name was highlighted.
finalizing that, but I will make sure I do that.
No
ASAP.
worries. Get it done when you can. They send us updates as we go. And adjournment. We have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time? All right. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
All right. Clay motioned.
I'll second.
Yep. Second. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please say abstain or raise your hand. I think Jennifer's just, she's agreeing, she's with it. And the meeting is adjourned. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.
Great start to the
Thank you,
year. I look forward to
everybody.
working with all of you. I'll see you October 27th. I'll send you calendar invites with Zoom links, and I'll send you out the principal PowerPoint so we can be ready for that. All right?
Thank you. Yep.
All right,
Bye.
take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. All.